Welcome to Building the Best You, a destination for you to reimagine what is possible in your life and then create it. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Jeanne Collins, and today we are talking about skincare. I love skincare. I think it is such an important topic, and we have Dr. Angela Casey on the show, and she is a dermatologist. She also is the founder of a company called Bright Girl, which, okay, just before we even get into this, guys, look at this product. Look how cute this is. I am so excited to talk to you. All right, Dr. Casey, welcome to the show.
Jeanne, thank you so much for the invitation. I am absolutely thrilled to be here and can't wait to connect more with you and your community.
Oh, well, thank you. All right. I don't normally read people's bios, but I do want to read just a little bit of your bio because I think it's important that I put you on the pedestal that you deserve to be put on, and I don't diminish that and don't rely on people going to the show notes to read how amazing you really are. So bear with me, everyone, for a second, because you need to hear this. You are a double board certified dermatologist and micrographic dermatological surgeon with a focus on skin cancer and cosmetic dermatology. You are the founder of Bright Girl Youth Skincare, a collection created to instill effective and consistent daily skincare habits from a young age. That's so like mission driven. I love it. So
thank you.
Could you share with everybody what's a little bit about your background? How did you even get interested in dermatology as a profession to begin with?
Well, I think from a young age, I knew I wanted to go into a career that really involved touching the lives of others, helping others, using my skill set to really bring health and wellness to them. And of course, there's so many options, but I was really drawn to medicine because I saw an opportunity where you get a very unique chance to connect with patients, to earn their trust, to build those relationships, and again, using my skills and knowledge to assist them. So I grew up in a family of physicians. My dad is an infertility specialist. So I saw firsthand from a young age how he was impacting so many lives. And I remember just a quick story I'll share. I was with him at the grocery store back in Louisville, Kentucky, which is where I grew up. And this woman runs up to him and says, Dr. Sanfilippo, like, thank you so much. This is my little boy, Jeffrey, and you helped bring him into the world. And, little Jeffrey's like 3 years old, so cute. And she turned to me and she said, you probably don't understand the magnitude of this, but we never would have had this child without your dad's help. And now my husband and I have this beautiful child. And that meeting really has stuck with me because I saw firsthand, and then over the years, more examples like that, but just how physicians really shaping the lives of their patients. And the reason I was drawn to dermatology is because the skin is so connected with our internal health and wellness. It's connected with balance and mindfulness, and it is often kind of the detective that leads us to the answer of what's going on internally. And I thought that's a real opportunity for me to help problem solve and help guide patients on that path to wellness. So here I am. And now in my practice, I primarily focus, as you mentioned, on skin cancer treatment. And skin cancer is the number one cancer worldwide and actually outnumbers all other cancers combined. A lot of people don't realize that. So it will affect 1 in 5 Americans by the age of 70. In treating those cancers every day, I'm helping people. They walk in with their skin cancer, they leave and they know it's cured. We've done the reconstructive surgery. So really is such a privilege. And I get so often like, this was so much better than I expected, Dr. Casey, from my patients. They come in with a lot of anxiety, and we really work so hard to make it a pleasant experience for them, all things considered.
Which is big. So I want to make sure I get this right, but I think you are a Mohs surgeon. Am I correct when I say that?
That's correct. Yes.
Right? Okay. Because I know where I live, not every dermatologist is, not every cosmetic surgeon is either. That is a very specific type of dermatologist. So
Yes.
for people who have no idea what I'm talking about, would you mind sharing what that is?
Yeah, so Mohs surgery is a subspecialty of dermatology where we really focus on skin cancers. what we call cutaneous oncology. And with Mohs surgery, we treat cancers in our office surgically. So patients come in with their cancer. Typically, we're working on the head and neck, so cosmetically sensitive areas, eyelids, noses, ears, cheeks, etc. They come in with their skin cancer. We put numbing medication to the area by injection to help keep them comfortable. I surgically remove the skin cancer. Then I bring it down the hall to my laboratory where my techs process it so I can look at it under the microscope. When I'm visualizing the skin under the microscope, I'm, of course, tracking the cancer, but I'm also seeing all the other aspects of the skin, the sun damage, the collagen, the elastic fiber. It's like really like the billboard that advertises what they've done in their lifetime. And really just such a neat perspective to get that holistic view of what's going on within the skin at the microscopic level compared to what I'm seeing on the clinical side. But I'm mapping out those skin cancer roots until we're all the way around them. So if I see a root, say at the 12 o'clock position, I go back to the patient, we remove a little bit more there, take it back to the lab again, et cetera. Once all the cancer is clear, then I perform reconstructive surgery same day for those patients. And our goal with the reconstruction, of course, is to leave no visible scars. There's always a scar after surgery, but my job is to camouflage and hide that as much as possible. And we're very successful in doing that.
Which is a good thing. And I happen to know about Mohs surgery because I've had it twice. And everyone, when you need it, and you're so grateful that it exists. However, we're going to talk about prevention because if you could prevent it, let me just say from personal experience, as you said, the face and the neck are the common areas. And let me tell you, those are places that you just don't want to have this surgery. I had it on the top of my lip and it still is just the scar is still sort of there and I've learned to live with it. But it's not the place that you want surgery, but it is a grateful thing that you can have it to remove the cancer before it spreads somewhere else. So I thank you for that.
It is tremendous. And you're right. The cancer is first and foremost. And with Mohs, we are so fortunate that we achieve cure rates of close to 100%. So we're talking about 98 to 99% cure rates for most skin cancers, which is a tremendously reassuring for our patients. But just as important as getting the cancer out is how that area heals. And I tell patients that daily. And I think that really reassures them that we are doing my best. And I always put myself in their shoes, in your shoes, Jeanne. How would I feel if I were getting surgery on my nose or on my lip? It's something I don't take lightly. And again, fortunately, we're very successful in getting excellent cosmetic outcomes.
Yeah, which is good because it's a tough spot. So before we move on to Bright Girl, I would just love to talk for a minute about skin cancer in general, because as you said, it's the number one cancer and I think it's on the rise. And I would just love to hear, what advice do you give to patients about what they can do to prevent it, no matter what age you're at? Because a lot of times people like me in my 50s, at 55, I know I did so much damage back in the day. You know, I lied there with the baby oil and the iodine and the tray, and we lied out on the blacktop and on the roof. I mean, it was absolutely terrible. Sunscreen was not a thing. It was awful. We did the opposite. We tried to fry our skin. So I know that makes me as an adult more susceptible to getting skin cancer, but I know there are things that I could do now or things that we could be helping the youth do as well. So I would love to hear what advice you give to your patients and to the population about how to prevent skin cancer if you can.
Well, one of the biggest takeaways is that it's never too late to start those good habits. So just as you mentioned, Jeanne, I'm a Gen Xer too. We grew up in an era where it was very cool to be tan and to have freckles. And you and I both have very fair skin. We probably have very similar skin types. So our skin was not meant to bake in the sun for hours and hours, but we did it. And we set our timer so that we flipped over onto our belly after a certain amount of time and tanned our back. And then we flipped back like a fish frying in a pan.
Like 100%.
back and forth with our oil on and all the things. And most of the patients that I'm treating in my office today are of our generation or prior generations. But I do see patients in their 20s that have skin cancers that just have very fair skin that's very susceptible. And even though they've grown up with better knowledge than what you and I had, sometimes there's just a genetic susceptibility to it. But yes, we find that 90% of non melanoma skin cancer, so basal cells and squamous cell skin cancers, have a direct correlation with ultraviolet light exposure. And when we think about sun exposure, the worst thing for our skin is getting a sunburn. So, what the data shows us is that it's maybe not so bad to be out in the sun and to get a little bit of color and a tan, but it's really the sunburn that is so damaging to our skin cells, to the DNA within our skin cells, that's causing those mutations that can eventually add up to form a skin cancer. So, as I mentioned earlier, and as you shared, skin cancer will probably touch all of us in some way. Either we or someone that we know and love will get a skin cancer because it does affect 20% of Americans by age 70. And because of the lack of knowledge that we had when we were younger. We now have this tremendous opportunity, though, and my mission with Bright Girl is to really empower younger generations. And at any age, that may be at age, 8 or 10, or it may be us as adults that are using and embracing those Bright Girl products, but really empowering them with the tools, so the proper ingredients and the knowledge of how to care for their skin. So that goes beyond skincare, and we'll dive a little bit more into skincare, but also practicing habits like using hats, like wide brimmed hats, and sun protective clothing, to seeking shade during the peak sun hours and being cognizant of what times you're outdoors, to our diet and other lifestyle habits. And also, there are supplements that we can take that are very effective at specifically blocking ultraviolet damage. So I do want to just kind of double click on that for a second. There is a supplement called Polypodium leucotomus. It's available under the brand name of HelioCare, or Inner Glow is another brand, but that is a very specific supplement that comes in a pill or a gummy form that blocks and really helps your skin repair and be resistant to ultraviolet damage. So it's not a substitute for wearing sunscreen, but works really well kind of from an internal perspective along with your sunscreen to keep your skin protected.
I've never heard that. And I feel like I read a lot when it comes to skincare, wellness, personal wellness, supplements, all the things. I have never heard anyone talk about that. That is really cool. So, can it help repair cells that are already damaged that we can't see are damaged, or is it really just preventing future damage?
A little bit of both. So it is, I think, the easiest way for your audience to think about it. It's a very specific antioxidant that is targeted towards ultraviolet damage. So, in being so, it will certainly repair some of the damage that has occurred. Now, is it going to clean up all the damage from decades of sun exposure? No.
Right.
But it is one of those things that you want to think about taking before you go on vacation, or even maybe making part of your daily regimen in the summer months if you do spend a little bit of time outdoors doing yard work or going for walks, etc. To date, there really haven't been any detrimental side effects found. Like I said, it's available over the counter, so it's easily accessible. You can get it off of Amazon or off of any website, drugstores, etc.
I'm so excited. I'm going to totally look into that. I love that. I love learning something new. So, thank you. That is really cool.
And for your audience members that have children, the Inner Glow is the brand that's the gummies. It was actually founded by a dermatologist. And it's really, my daughters are teens and tweens. They
Yeah.
love it. It's just tastes like a piece of candy. So anytime we're going on vacation, I always make sure to have plenty of that stocked.
All right. That is so good to know. We're going to put that in the show notes too. I love that. Thank you. So, you have three girls. Later, we're going to talk about how in the world do you do what you do as a surgeon with 3 kids and found a company, like all the things, and take care of yourself and your own health and all the things that you're juggling as an entrepreneur. But before we do, let's talk about where did the concept of Bright Girl come from?
It's really the intersection. That was such a good lead in, Jeanne. The intersection of those two worlds that we talked about. My role as mom to 3 teen and tween daughters, and my role as a Mohs surgeon, and where those worlds intersect, and what I was seeing in my own daughters, and wanting to really shift that focus to one of prevention and to one of education for our younger generations, because I firmly believe in doing so, we can change the trajectory of that skin cancer epidemic, which continues to rise and rise,
Yeah.
and really get ahead of it. It's just like brushing and flossing your teeth every day. When we learn those habits, when we implement good skincare from a young age, we're setting the foundation for lifelong skin health. What I was seeing in my own daughters was a lack of connection with a lot of legacy brands. There are so many skincare brands on the market, and there's a lot of popular skincare brands that we as dermatologists recommend. CeraVe, Cetaphil, Neutrogena, La Roche-Posay. I can name an endless list of them. I am bombarded with samples of all of these products from our reps, and I would bring them home to my daughters, and they would look at them and they would kind of make a face and be like, "Mom, this doesn't smell good. Mom, this packaging, it's very bland. Ugh, I don't want to use this. This is not interesting." And instead, they were flocking to brands that they were seeing on social media, and they're going to Sephora and Ulta and Target, and often selecting brands that were really geared towards more mature skin. So I thought, why hasn't anyone created a brand that is really special, that is super exceptional in its performance for this very picky and very fickle audience, that's also going to teach them habits, but providing ingredients that are safe and effective for young skin, so that they will be successful, and so that moms will feel confident that they are giving their children products that are good for their skin. I thought there had to be a brand out there that I was missing, I didn't know about. I searched and searched and I never found it. So that's what inspired me to create Bright Girl. And I thought, who better to do this than a dermatologist, a Mohs surgeon, a mom of 3 teen and tween daughters, someone who looks at skin under the microscope, understands everything. And then it was just a matter of assembling the most talented team of cosmetic chemists and graphic designers and packaging experts, and all putting all of that together to bring a brand to life. So it's been a tremendous learning opportunity for me. I feel like I've gotten an MBA over the past few years and growing and launching this business, but it's so worth it because we're reaching more people than I could ever see in my office. And I can't call myself a care provider if I don't care enough to go out on a limb and really try to make a difference.
Yeah, which is so beautiful. And that's, I
Yeah.
mean, it's like you have a full-time job on top of a full-time job on top of a full-time job as a mom of 3, plus a surgeon, plus I'm going to be a founder of a new product and launch a whole new business. So that is massive kudos to you. And I showed some of your products, but I'm going to show 2 more for everybody. These are so adorable. They come in these different colors, and even just the roundness of the packaging. And you make it so easy. Like, first of all, as an adult, I'm totally blind, but I could actually read the label. So thank you for that. I know it's not intended for that, but maybe it is, but I can read the label. But what's also really cool is you make it really simple. It's like, okay, the moisturizer, day plus bright. Okay, this is a no-brainer. This I use during the day, right here, bright plus clean. Okay, this is the cleaner. I get it. I understand what I'm supposed to do. The toner, I don't know why more people don't do this. I'm going to show this to you. If you guys are not using a product that has this with the pump for the toner, it is the easiest way to get toner out. You don't spray it all over everywhere. It's 2 pumps on a cotton ball. It is the best way to use toner. And I was so happy that your product has this. And it's it's wide, meant for little hands. Like, it's so brilliant. So kudos. And
Thank
you talk
you.
about smell. Okay, so I had to open a couple of the products and try them. I was like, what do these smell like? Am I going to like this? Or is it going to be too little girl foo-fooey. I wasn't exactly sure where it was going. It's actually not. It's scented, but it's a very lovely, mild scent. So
Thank you.
kudos to you on that.
Thank you. We really wanted it to evoke a very luxurious spa experience. So, nothing too fruity, nothing too earthy. I had the advantage of having a neighbor that actually was the head of fragrance selection for Bath and Body Work candles that lived across the street. So, she was very instrumental in helping us with scent selection. And I will tell you, Jean, I think we must have gone through 80 some different scents until we landed on this. But I'm so glad you mentioned the packaging and the scent because it is so important to young people. So I'm talking about Gen Z, Gen Alpha, that they receive that immediate positive feedback as they're forming habits. So that scent is the number one quality of the products that individuals comment on. We love the smell of it. And young people love the way that it smells when they put it on. They want that packaging to be substantial and special. And as you mentioned, we want it. I want it to be easy to know. You need 2 pumps of the cleanser and like you said, 2 pumps of the toner for your sunscreen. You need 4 pumps of the sunscreen to cover your face. So just having those very like tangible amounts that individuals know that work for them, it just streamlines the whole process. And then the color coding, likewise, they know the orange is the cleanser and the green is the toner, etc. So you're not reaching for packages that all look the same and thinking, okay, which one is this? What step is this?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and even on the directions, it even says like it doesn't normally products say like follow up with your daily moisturizer. It says on it specifically follow up with Day Plus Bright. Like it's telling you what to do.
We have to keep it very simple with the messaging.
You do. Look at this, guys.
Yeah.
This
So
is
that
so
way, if it's
cute.
sitting in the drawer, then you know exactly what's what. But we want to teach that in a way that's easy for young people to adapt into their routines and their habits. And there's not going to be a lot of confusion or too many steps to the routine.
Yes. Oh, so I'm so glad you said that because that was going to be my next question for you, which is, you know, how did you decide what products? Because in the adult skincare line, you know, we have serums, we have neck, we have, I mean, you know, my drawer is filled. I have so many products. And our routines, the older we get, seem to expand more and more and more. The more we're like, oh no, I need to do something about my aging skin. And so, how did you decide what steps or what routine was going to make the most sense for younger women? Let's call them.
I really circled back to the data and the clinical evidence, Jean. So, what you just mentioned is the mismatch of what we see from clinical studies and what we know as dermatologists and what the beauty industry has taught us that we need. And there is a big discrepancy between those two worlds. The beauty industry wants us to buy and consume as many products as possible because that benefits them
Yes.
as dermatologists, and I feel it's my duty to whittle that down and streamline those routines and really teach patients these are the essentials. There are certain skincare products that you do need every day that are kind of the non-negotiables, as I say to my patients. But as you talk to any dermatologist, we're all going to tell you the same thing. I'm going to break it down very simply. In the morning, if you just have one product, you need a mineral based sunscreen. That's not only going to provide your UVA, UVB protection, it's also going to moisturize your skin. And in the evening, all you need is a cleanser and moisturizer. You need a cleanser because you have to take away all the dirt, makeup, sweat, particles that get on your skin over the course of the day and can create inflammation and a lot of skin barrier irritation. So we have to get those off of our skin so our skin's able to rest and repair and regenerate overnight. And the moisturization is going to help with that. Now, of course, as adults, we may need to add on to that because we have to do some correction. And that's where maybe our vitamin C serum comes into play, maybe our retinol. But for our young people, their skin is so perfect that if they are using just those few simple steps, they're going to achieve so much success. It's not going to take care of everything for every individual. There are going to be kids whose acne kind of exceeds what we can do, which is simple skincare. We're going to need to bring on medicated products. But we find more and more in the dermatology literature, more studies supporting how mandatory and essential that foundational skincare regimen is to achieving success in conditions like acne and eczema, sensitive
Yeah.
skin, seborrheic dermatitis. So I really wanted with Bright Girl to set parents and young people up for success in selecting those products and giving them a safe option that's paraben, sulfate, phthalate free. We have a whole list of what I call no thank you ingredients. Those are the ones I say, no thank you. I don't want that in my skincare or in my children's skincare.
Yes, and you have that on your website as just a whole tab of no thank you, and I thought that was really cute too because it is amazing how commercialized our skincare industry has gotten with stores like Sephora. Love Sephora. It's fantastic. And it exposes you to so many different things. And it's wonderful that our children are so interested in skincare products. But I do also think they tend to not necessarily make great choices. They make choices based on what they see on TikTok. And they also sometimes aren't recognizing how much they need or what they need for their age. Because I know my daughter, for example, she's 19, about to turn 20. And our dermatologist just recently told her to like get rid of every product she was using. And she was using really good, expensive products from Sephora. And she's now down to 3 products. And like, that's it. She's like, that's it. That's all my skin needs. Her skin's never been better. And so it's interesting because it does go against what all of her friends at her age are using. And they all have masks and this and serums and all these different things. And she has really pared it way down thanks to her dermatologist.
Yeah, what you just shared, Jean, is so well illustrates what I see in practice every day. And it is that pull for young people and adults too to pile on the products because they think the more the better. But we know as dermatologists that the more ingredients you put on your skin, the more likely you are to have a reaction or irritation, or almost always you're going to get some skin barrier disruption. And skin barrier disruption is really at the root of so many skin issues that we see with sensitivity, blotchiness, acne breakouts, et cetera, all the things that we want to avoid. And just as you mentioned, we as dermatologists are constantly paring down and streamlining the regimens. I'll also share that there is really not a lot of data that says you have to use a specific dedicated eye cream or neck cream. A lot of those products are just, again, marketed so that you buy an extra product or
Yeah.
two in addition to your
Sure.
face cream.
Yes.
But when you deep dive into the ingredients, you'll see that there is just a lot of common overlap with the ingredient selection in all of those products.
Sure. Wrinkles are wrinkles. It doesn't matter where they are in your body. They're all wrinkles. It's all
Exactly.
the same. So I just want to have you share about something because I know what this is, but I think a lot of people don't. And I was not familiar with it. You talk about, you just said it, the breakdown,
Skin
the
barrier.
yes, thank you very much. The skin barrier breakdown. And I had never heard of that before until my daughter. And my daughter's the one who exposed me to what that is. And I'd never heard of it. So I would love if you would share what that is because I think most parents have no idea what that is.
Yeah. So the skin barrier, I think the easiest way to describe it and to create an image, it is like the protective layer that sits on the surface of our skin, essentially, and is really the interface between the external environment and our internal self. So our skin barrier is constantly mediating interactions between our skin and allergens that are floating around, anything that we touch or comes in contact with our skin. But it's very important that that skin barrier stays strong and hydrated and confluent, and that it doesn't develop holes or irritation because that sets the stage for irritation and inflammation and for things that are bad, so particles, et cetera, pollutants in our environment that are bad to get into our skin. And that kind of sets off a vicious cycle. I think another good way to think about it is similar to like our gut and when we get leaky gut versus having a healthy, strong, very repaired and resilient gut. So our skin is the same way. In order to keep that skin barrier strong, it requires avoiding inflammation in our skin. So, avoiding sunburns, avoiding skincare products that irritate our skin or cause redness or sensitivity, avoiding harsh exfoliating scrubs or overdoing it with our exfoliation or gua sha or any sort of skin at home procedure. Likewise, procedures in office or with an esthetician. You want to avoid doing those too frequently. And then just being very conscientious about our ingredient selection, that we are selecting ingredients that are going to help hydrate our skin, that are going to repair the barrier, which can be visualized almost like a brick and mortar conformation. So if you're repairing that brick and mortar wall and making sure it's nice and strong and that the mortar between the bricks is nice and strong and secure, it's going to keep all of that bad stuff out. And then we also need ingredients in our skincare, what are called occlusives, which I don't love that term because it makes you think of something that's like kind of stifling your skin. But those are the ingredients that help keep all that moisture locked in our skin and all the goodness locked in our skin so that our skin is not constantly losing hydration to the external environment.
Yeah. Also important. Thank you. Because I had never heard that term until my daughter informed me of that term. And she was told that she had that issue because she had been using products that were just too strong to try to deal with her acne, with the thought that she just needed to exfoliate more and clean more and strip more. And she basically was stripping it all away, and there it was creating this vicious cycle. So I'd never heard that before. And so thank you for explaining it, because I think a lot of people don't understand.
I think anyone from our generation, Jean, can probably relate or can look back on an experience that we've had ourselves. So think about the St. Ives apricot scrub that we used back in the day, the Sea Breeze astringent, some of the Noxema products that we
Yes.
use. Remember how your skin felt after you used those products. It felt tight. It may have
Yep.
looked pink or red. Everything was kind of inflamed. Maybe your next step of your skincare regimen felt like it burned or stung when you applied it to your skin. So those are the signs of a disrupted barrier. And when we think about our skin health as a whole, one important takeaway that I want your audience to walk away with is that skin barrier disruption and resulting inflammation are really at the root of so many skin issues, ranging from sensitive skin to eczema to acne, to uneven skin tone. So when we're able to put all the pieces back in place so that our skin is strong and resilient and is not susceptible to that inflammation, we suddenly end up way ahead of where we would have been if we had neglected that message in our skincare.
Yeah, that's so important. So I'm curious what you tell families about your products. So can the entire family use your product? What do you say to families about your product line? Or is it really we want to keep it for the younger skincare?
I say that this is the skincare that moms are going to steal from their daughter's bathroom instead of the other way around.
I
For
love it.
generations, our girls have been coming into our bathrooms and taking out the serum or the moisturizer or the eye cream and sneaking it back into their bathroom because they're curious and
Yeah.
they love that. But now we've flipped that script and now the moms are stealing it. And I received so many messages from moms and grandmas, for that matter, that have gifted Bright Girl products to their teens or tweens. And they've tried it themselves and said, wow, this is really exceptional. It's special. The price point is not as crazy as that face cream or that sunscreen I was using. And so they're adopting it into their regimens themselves. I use Bright Girl products every day, and I'm certainly not a teen or a tween. And my husband does too. My husband swears by them. He's
Wow.
obsessed with our cleanser and moisturizer and uses them every day and has since we've launched the brand. So he's the biggest fan. But I think the common theme with the Bright Girl products and just being successful with your skin. The products are pH balanced to work with your skin's pH. They're very supportive. They're anti-inflammatory. So we have ingredients like ashwagandha,
Mm,
aloe, marshmallow root, turmeric, and all of those chamomile are very soothing, replenishing, restorative to the skin. So you're not only providing that hydration and that balance in your skin, you're also getting all these really vital nutrients into your skin with botanical ingredients that have been tested and proven for generations. And when I was selecting ingredients and working with our cosmetic chemists, I really went back to the white papers. So all the clinical studies that we have in the dermatology literature to be very intentional with what we included in the products.
yeah. And all of those, as you're listing those off, like ashwagandha and turmeric, and you're going through the list, I'm like, I have that in my diet. I have that in my diet, thanks to my nutritionist and my functional medicine doctor. And so you're kind of going through the list of all of the things that I have added to my diet in the last few years as my knowledge of overall health has increased. So I think it's very cool that they're in there. That's incredible. So, wow. I love that. I can't wait to try
Yeah.
these products,
It's like
guys. This
food
is
for
so
your
great.
skin. Your
It
skin needs
is.
that nourishment just like your body does. And
Yeah.
it's really powerful when you combine that with a good diet, good
Mhm.
habits, good sleep. You
Yeah.
really see some tremendous results.
Yeah. So I have a question. How do you get your teen and tweens to drink enough water?
We make sure if we send them to school every day with a water bottle. I mean, the Hydro Flask or Stanley
Uh-huh.
cups, whatever is trending. When they asked for those for Christmas gifts a few years back, we were like, yes, indeed, we will buy you as many water bottles as you want. But it is a challenge. They are on the go all the time. But I think having it accessible is key. And whenever we're traveling as a family, you better believe I've got 5 water bottles, one for me, one for my husband, one for each of the 3 girls, so that everybody is well stocked.
Yeah, always never leave the house without it. Okay. I'm so glad. There's nothing that I haven't heard of yet that you're doing that's magical because I know that they don't like to drink water. And water is like your skin. I think they call your skin the largest organ, if I'm correct. So it's like if it's your largest organ, and we all know that we need to drink water to keep all of our organs working and functioning well, and your skin is the largest organ, then drinking a fair amount of water is definitely important for your skin. And to keep it hydrated, if you are not drinking enough water, your skin is going to not look as bright. It's going to look more saggy. It's not going to have the elasticity that it needs. It's all of the things. You're going to age faster if you don't drink water. But for young ones, that's tough. It's not always so easy.
It is very true, though. And I think one message that works sometimes with teens is that if they do drink enough water and they're staying hydrated, they will actually notice a difference in their skin over a week or so. So if they're changing their habits from being dehydrated and depleted, and I mean, it's not just water, it's also getting enough sleep, eating the right foods, of course, trying to avoid processed foods. But when they do see those changes in their skin, it's a real motivator for them because that's what they ultimately care about is the appearance, and they'll notice that they feel better too. They're going to be less tired, more energized. So it's a win-win.
Yeah. Yeah. Do your kids consider you a cool mom or are you not a cool mom because, you're a dermatologist and you don't like the sun and
I mean, are there any moms that are truly cool, or will our kids tell us that we are cool? That's the question. So,
right.
no, they think, of course, they're like, "Oh, mom, you're such a nerd." And I always have podcasts on in my car, and it's usually this morning I was taking our middle daughter to school, and it was a dermatology podcast, and they're, naming a bunch of, they're like, "Oh, pityriasis rosea," and it like all these like, and she's like, Mom, why does everything have to be so complicated and sound so nerdy in dermatology? And I joked, I'm like, well, it makes us seem smarter when we talk about these conditions.
Right.
So, no, they do not always tell me that, Jeanne. But what I do see is those moments of pride in what we're doing. And I'm sure you see that too.
Yeah,
with your
I do.
kiddos that they will I'll overhear them talking to a friend and saying, "Oh yeah, like did you see my mom's post on social media?" Or, "Oh yeah, that's the skincare brand that my mom created." Or, "Oh yeah, my mom does surgeries." So they do, I guess, share that pride, but
Yeah.
not directly to me. But I think that as moms, the best we can do is really try to walk the walk and model good behaviors. And that's not just in our work and our achievements, it's our interactions with others every day and how we treat people with respect and kindness and how we connect with others, how we take care of ourselves because
Mhm.
they are little sponges and they're going to much more likely do what we do than do what we say.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. You have to lead by example, which is one of the things I love about Bright Girl is you're creating a routine that you can mirror as a parent with your child. And since everybody can use the same products, you're creating routines and rituals around skincare and making that routine important and making it important to take care of your skin. And you can lead by example. So I think that's really important. What's on your bucket list for Bright Girl?
Well, I would love to expand to have a complimentary boys line that's really geared towards teen and tween boys. So that would that's a distant bucket list item. I think before we do that, we have to grow a lot more brand awareness, but that's always kind of been on the horizon as an ultimate goal. In the immediate, I think it is reaching more people, growing more brand awareness. We have been very fortunate to be carried in hundreds of dermatology practices across the country. So, specifically selected by dermatologists to share with their patients and with their own children, which I think is one of the greatest markers of validation that we can receive as a brand because dermatologists are very skeptical when it comes to new brands and also
Yeah.
very picky about what they recommend. So
Yes,
that
they are.
that's been a big win. Likewise, being selected to be carried in Nordstrom and Macy's, Beauty Space by Space NK. So all of these retailers that are really what it demonstrates is that the population at large is craving a product and a solution like what we offer, that society is getting behind this preventative skin health movement, which is the ultimate goal, the ultimate mission of creating this brand. And as that happens, it makes all the hard work and late nights and all of the no's that we've gotten along the way makes it all worth it.
So many no's as an entrepreneur. Well, and Nordstrom, that is bougie. So congratulations to you. That's a
Thank
big one.
you.
That
Thank
is,
you.
for most young ones, and Nordstrom is like as chic as it gets, except for maybe Saks Fifth Avenue.
Well, Nordstrom is like a very, I think the audience for Nordstrom, the guests of Nordstrom, are very discerning customers. So those are customers that really want the best quality. They're very thoughtful about their ingredients and everything with what they're selecting with their fashion along with their beauty. So it really has been a huge compliment to get into Nordstrom. And I think it's a good fit for us as a brand because we do meet that demand and again offer that solution to parents that go into a beauty retailer and think, what in the world do I choose that's safe for my teen?
Yes.
I want to get him or her something special, but something that's effective that they're going to love to use. And that's where Bright Girl comes in.
Yeah. Oh, I totally get it. Oh, wow. Okay. Before we run out of time, two questions for you. One, is there anything that hasn't come up that I didn't ask you that we didn't talk about that you definitely want to communicate? Did I miss anything in this conversation?
One message that I want to share that's, I think, so relevant to your audience and what's important to you is that self care is health care.
Mm.
And it is so important that we as adults carve out time to perform those self care rituals and do the things that are important to us, but that also we encourage our young people to make space for that because they are so busy with school and sports and obligations, their friendships. Skincare is a simple, low hanging fruit that's easily accessible to most of us and is really something I encourage parents to share with their children. And in doing so, the benefits, not only for their skin health, but their mental health as well, can be tremendous.
Tremendous. It's all about making it a ritual and make it fun, and having cool products is part of what makes it fun, and turn on some music, whatever you have to do to make it just part of the routine, like brushing your teeth, but make it not like flossing is really kind of the goal, I think.
Right.
'Cause
You don't
I
want
have
it to
yet
be
to
a
meet
chore.
I have
Yes.
yet to meet a teenager who's like, I'm so excited to floss. Yeah, mom, I told the dentist the truth. I floss every day and I was not lying. That does not happen.
No, we have a ways to go, but eventually, then as adults, we realize how good it feels to floss, right? If we
Exactly.
go without it, it's like, oh, I need to floss.
Yeah, and the consequences are just not worth it. It takes
No,
only a few minutes. It's just not worth it. But
no.
yes, skincare, if you can get into that routine, it'll get to the point that they'll never go to bed without washing their face. And that is really important, to wash their face at the end of the day and to then moisturize after they wash their face. And like you said in the beginning, if you could just get those two things in, and putting on sunscreen before you walk out the door, those three things as a routine and something that is a must do, just like putting on a helmet when you ride a bike and putting your seatbelt on when you get in the car, you can make major changes in the long term for their skin, because they only get one set of skin.
Right, absolutely. And that skin damage is cumulative over our lifetime. So the sooner we can get ahead of it, the bigger the win.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I've taken up so much of your time. And by the way, folks, it is nighttime and she's been operating all day long. And I know she wants to get home to her family and live her life. But before we do, I would love to know if you have a book that you'd like to recommend to our listeners and watchers.
Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Love
I
that
think it
one.
fits in so well with our conversation, with everything that we encourage with our brand, with Bright Girl, but also that I encourage for my patients as a dermatologist, that I encourage as a mom to my 3 teen and tween daughters, but just those small changes that you can make every day that add up to tremendous benefits. And it really kind of breaks it down to something that seems manageable and doable for each of us.
Yeah. And that is such a great book. So thank you for bringing that up. And by the way, my daughter read that book as a teenager. So it's not above teenage level reading. And it is learning how to look at life that way and look at the things that you can do that you are within your control, and one little step and little habits and how they compound over time is really just a great lesson for all of our young adults. So thank you. It's a perfect book to recommend for this segment. So thank you. Dr. Casey, your products, I'm going to show everybody again here. So if you're on video watching, we're going to tag all of this. Guys, these are so cute. I can't wait to try them. They smell wonderful. Thank you for your team to send me these. I really appreciate it. Thank you for
Of
them sending it.
course.
And I look forward to sharing this with my daughter and with our audience. So I thank you for all your time, and we will definitely stay in touch.
Thank you so much, Jeanne. I so appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Building the Best You. If you are ready to take a deeper dive into transforming your life, check out my Empowerment Fundamentals course on my website, houseofgermar.com. Thank you, and I will see you next week with another inspiring guest.